Ladies and gentlemen, is Gabe Davis becoming the star we needed him to be last year? Based on camp, things are looking and sounding great. Tune in. This is the Rico Report. We'll be back in a second. To another edition of the Rico Report. But guess what? I am not alone. I'm going to be joined by my homie, my man, Z-Bot. Well, I'm just about to bring him in just a second. But folks, apologize for the delay. Something was happening with my computer is messing me up, but I think we're back on track. And no better person to get back on track with than my guy Z-Bot. I'm going to bring him right back in. Z-Bot.
Hey! How about that intro? I felt like I was back seeing Oppenheimer and IMAX right there.
Watch out. We're trying to do some new things, my brother. We're trying to do some new things. How you been, brother?
Things are good, bro. Good to be back on. We are what? 41 days. Shout out my main men, Dave Matthews Band, 41. One of their biggest hits, 41 days. To Buffalo Bills ball. We got camp underway. I mean, it's officially August now, Rico. August 1 today. And you know what that is. August is the last little buffer here, the last little warm-up until the boys are buzzing. So I'm all sorts of stoked, man. I can't wait.
I love it. Now, apparently, I'm echoing. So I might have to come back and then come right back in. Because see, I told you I was doing some tech issues. I'm going to try to figure it out. But before I do, because I know it's annoying you guys. Ziba, you right? And I don't want to take the scheme. I don't want to take away what you've been up to. So as I try to fix my echo, tell the people what you've been up to. Special things you've been up to. I'll be right back.
Man, we had a big weekend this past weekend. Lots of fun for myself. Big weekend in the works for a long time. This past weekend was up at the Catskills with my girlfriend's fam. And it was the perfect setting to finally, after 8 years, pop the question to Miss Caroline. Anybody who tunes into the smoke break on Monday nights has seen my girlfriend, Caroline, from time to time. She's poked her head in, either dropping me off some wings, some ice cream, giving her thoughts on the Bills, which, of course, are always very, very, they're incredible, of course, being the big football gal that she is. But we have been together for 8 years, which is insane to think about because that goes all the way back to early college, all the way up until now. You blink and you're like, holy hell. So we've been together for a very long time, and this was the perfect opportunity to let it fly. So we were up in the Catskills, Long Eddy, which is a very, it's like the most remote place you could possibly imagine. Like, where are you getting engaged? Oh, Long Eddy. But this place was gorgeous. So my girlfriend's one of 6. Huge family, and this place it's like a retreat almost. This place could fit like 40 people. It was meant for weddings, all this type of stuff like that. So they had this awesome barn, this pimped out barn that had like all these lightings and all this lighting and whatever else up against a pond, really nice pond, nice backdrop. The whole thing was just set up perfectly. So teamed up with my girlfriend's mom, her whole fam, right? The sisters, all that stuff. And it went off without a single bump in the road. She never found out. I didn't even get to see the ring that I had gotten for Miss Caroline until 15 minutes prior, Rico, right? So I have this whole thing set up for a while now. And I got the ring up in Rochester. Most of you know now I'm down in Stamford, Connecticut. So got that. My parents picked up the ring for me. They drove it out to where we were. So let me set the stage for you. Okay, so she's one of 6. I haven't even given you the full story. Rico's known for a while, but it was kind of up in the air as to how it was all going to go down. So quick recap, because it was awesome. It really turned out awesome.
Can't wait.
She's one of 6, like I said, and her mom thought of this genius idea where she was like, why don't we just say we're doing a family picture? We'll have everybody get all dressed up for it, so it doesn't seem like it's weird that everybody's getting all dressed up, and it doesn't seem like we, like we can get something big rolling here without burying the surprise or without revealing the surprise. So while all the girls are getting ready for this picture, I go out to the barn. Now, this barn is, like I said, it's huge, all renovated. It's got like couches and stuff in there, all these lights up against this pond. So I go out to the barn. We have this massive red carpet, like a legit red carpet that you'd see at the Oscars. So we roll out this red carpet starting at the entrance of the barn all the way out to the back of the deck of the pond, right in front of the pond. And then on that, I roll out a bunch of like rose petals all down the red carpet. And then we line the red carpet up with a bunch of candles. And then I got this big sign that says, "Marry me" at the end of the red carpet. It was perfect. We set this up in like 10 minutes. Me and my brother-in-laws set it up in like 10 minutes. So then my parents pull up. They roll around the back. As soon as they pull up, we're like, all right, tell her the pictures are ready to rock. We're ready to go here. So we close the barn doors. So she walks up to the barn, thinks she's walking in to take this picture, opens up the barn door. Her whole family's there. My whole family's there. Everybody hands her a rose as she walks down the red carpet, opens up the other side of the barn door. And there I am standing there with the ring, get down on the knee, lay out the question. We did get a yes, which of course is what you're always looking for, Rico. You know, I was shaking a bit there. Thought she might shut me down in front of the whole fam. But long story short, man, it was awesome. Could not have gone better. And it was better than I ever could have pictured it being, which is awesome. After being together for 8 years, you kind of got to come out hot. You got to do it right. And having her whole family involved and everything was incredible. Having my folks there was awesome. And then we partied on the rest of the day. Everybody stayed the night there, and we had like a pool there and a whole setup, the pond and whatever that we hung out by. Just an awesome, awesome weekend. So your boy is engaged. I gotta say though, now Rico, I don't know how you felt about this. I never knew how much I hated the word fiance. It is the worst word ever. So now we just say it ironically nonstop. But I don't think you'll catch me once saying, "Oh, so me and the fiance, we were going to." I can't do it. She's gonna be Caroline until we get married, and then she's the wife.
Buddy, get used to it. And I'm sorry, I know the echo is it's gonna drive me crazy. I'm hoping it fixes itself, folks. But it gets weirder. You go from fiance to my wife. My wife. Dude, it's weird. It's odd. But you get used to it after years. But it took me a while to do it. I wouldn't even call my girl my girlfriend. I would just say my lady.
I like lady.
That's my girlfriend. No. We're not
no, girlfriend sucks too. Girlfriend sounds like you're in middle school. It's tough. Fiance sounds like you're an asshole. And girlfriend sounds like you're in middle school. I like lady. That's classy.
That's my lady. That's your girl? No, that's my lady. That's it. That's my girlfriend, guys. No, I ain't doing that.
And hey, by the way,
graduated eventually to fiance. I never did the fiance either. That's my lady.
But by the way, I had so many freaking people reach out to me. I'm sure a lot of you guys were part of that. And thank you, Rico, for letting everybody know that was awesome. But so many people reached out to me. It was incredible getting that much love, including my man Jeff King was doubling down. I want Jeff to know because Jeff left me a very nice voicemail. Where we were, like I said, we were up in the Catskills there. We might as well have been living in the middle of a farm. There was nothing there. So, Jeff, let me call you tomorrow because I got your voicemail. Much love, brother. You know I always appreciate you. And Jeff never misses an opportunity to show me some love. So, Jeff, I did get the voicemail. Calling you back tomorrow. But I got so much love from so many people. Man, that was a real cool thing about the whole experience is just getting all that love from everybody, man, because we got a good group of fans. I always say this, man. Buffalo Fanatics, Bills in general, great group of people, and, man, that showed over the weekend. You guys are awesome.
Well, listen, and I'm gonna before because I gotta restart my stuff. I gotta set you up, Zbot, because I need to set this up before I get off screen and go try to fix my audio. But I need to show you something because you've probably seen it, probably haven't before we get into camp talk. But this has been circulating, and I was sent this immediately and said you need to talk about this on the show.
Ooh.
So take a look at this image.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Great science. That's perfect setup.
Take a look at this image. And I'm sorry that it's a tiny one, but I need you guys to see it. So we've got an AFC East prediction. And take a look at what this goofball, cornball, goob, whatever you guys want to call him, dork, has decided to tell us exactly how this is going to play out. So he's got the New York Jets at 13-4. He's got the Miami Dolphins at 11-6. He's got the division champs, 3-time division champs that haven't lost major pieces. Pretty much everybody's coming back, but he's got us at 9-8. And then we're just a game above the New England Patriots. The disrespect. So Z-Bob, because you didn't know this was coming up. So your thoughts? I'm gonna let this linger. I'm gonna try to fix this freaking audio. I'm gonna drive this thing into the wall here. But talk about this. Tell me what your thoughts are, and I'm gonna jump in because I gotta go in on this. So I'm gonna leave this to you. Go ahead, brother.
Well, that's a perfect setup for my man Rico, mainly because I could sit and talk about this particular graphic here for at least a handful of hours. If you were on with me last week on Monday night, we kind of went over this similar topic a little bit because this is now the new norm. This is now the fun thing to do if you are a talking head, if you are a member of the media, really if you're anybody who is just looking for some sort of gratification online, whatever it may be. This is the new way to get that. We went over this last week a bit about why this is happening, and we'll kind of go over that again because as you'll see throughout the rest of the offseason here, you will see this throughout the year as well. Whenever the Bills slip up, whenever the Jets happen to do better than perhaps people thought in a particular game or whatever, this will happen continuously. If you've noticed, every single time Aaron Rodgers makes a pass that's even just remotely on target, into the end zone, touchdown or whatever throughout this training camp here, this early training camp here, not only is it being tweeted out by the Jets, of course, but the NFL, official NFL Twitter is getting all over it. All the reporters are getting all over it. It is become insufferable. And that is why I said a week ago, I will be a diehard New England Patriots fan in every single non-Buffalo Bills AFC East game. The absolute disdain that I have currently for the New York Jets, it is at an all-time high. Growing up the way that I did in the state of the AFC East for the 20 years prior to Josh Allen, there was no real reason to hate the New York Jets. There was no real reason to hate the Miami Dolphins, mainly because it was simply the New England Patriots or the field, and you would always take the New England Patriots. So the hatred was always targeted at New England, and for good reason. The other teams always felt like they were a part of a fraternity that was simply just teaming up together to try and dethrone the New England Patriots. And I think throughout Brady's run, that only happened 2 or 3 times at the most. Now it's the most competitive it has ever been. And we all know this. The Bills, of course, have been at the top of that mountain for the last couple of seasons, but we know how good the Miami Dolphins have the potential to be. We know the weapons they have on offense, and we do know that if Tua Tagovailoa is healthy, he is more than a competent quarterback, or he's more than capable of being a competent enough quarterback to get the ball in the hands of a Tyreek Hill or a Jalen Waddle, who is not only perhaps the best tandem in the league when it comes to the wide receiver position, but also by far the fastest tandem. It doesn't take much. All you got to do is get them the ball off the line of scrimmage. They can make magic happen. We as Bills fans know that all too well, in particularly about Tyreek Hill. Now we move over to the New York Jets, which is they've been the media darling. They have surpassed the Miami Dolphins. And look, I understand if you wanted to give credit to the Miami Dolphins going into this season based on the fact that last year, not only did they beat the Bills in the regular season, but they could have beat them a second time in Buffalo. That game was a great game, came down to the wire. Josh Allen had to embody superhuman qualities in order for the Bills to get that victory. And then we know in the wild card, the Bills had an incredibly tough time beating a backup quarterback at home in a Dolphins team that was nowhere near being, or on paper at least, should have been nowhere near matched up with the Bills in that wild card game, and it came down to, the fourth quarter. I would understand having the Miami Dolphins towards the top if you wanted to. I also understand not having the Buffalo Bills number one in the AFC East. That I get. I completely understand not having the Bills at number one because this is the most competitive the AFC East has been. Therefore, it should not be a foregone conclusion the Bills are going to win the division this year. Any argument for any other team, to me, is beyond fair. You have the arguments. The Miami Dolphins, like I just said, they have played the Bills extraordinarily tight. They keep getting better. They have a terrific offense when healthy. We know this. The New York Jets, last year, they felt like they were a quarterback away. They got that quarterback now, a future first ballot Hall of Famer. They have the Rookie of the Year on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. They're getting Breece Hall back, who I think would have also been up there for Rookie of the Year on the offensive side of the ball had he stayed healthy last year. The Jets are a damn good team. And not only are they a damn good team, they're a damn good young team. And they're going to be around for a while. But it's graphics like what Rico just had up that really, really piss me off because they're lazy, they're idiotic, and the only purpose they serve is to get people in the comment section. And unfortunately, here I am biting the bullet, or biting the forbidden fruit here, I guess so to say, that I should not be entertaining. Because this is what the goal of stuff like this is. It's so absurd. How do you not entertain it? You have to say something. And that, of course, is the ultimate goal with something like this. I understand having the Jets number one. I get it. There's arguments to do it. I understand having the Dolphins number one. I get it. Arguments to do it. All of these teams in the AFC, all of their schedules are brutal. All it takes is one injury, 1 month of an absolute lull, right? An absolute lapse where you lose a couple games you shouldn't. Like, for instance, if the Bills come out of the gate and they lose to the Raiders or the Commanders, hey, right? That's all it takes. You slip up 1 or 2 games you shouldn't, that's all it's going to take. I get it. The margin's that close. And for that reason, I understand not having the Bills at number one. But to have the Bills at 9-8, 1 game north of the New England Patriots, who are clear-cut the worst team in the AFC East. It is not even a debate. The talent level between the New England Patriots and the other 3 teams in that division, it's not even close. To have the Buffalo Bills, who have won this division almost going away the last several seasons, who have proven time and time again that no matter what they are facing, they are a team that's going to win bare minimum double-digit games. Last year, all the adversity this team faced, they were 3 games shy of an undefeated season, in which those 3 games were lost by a combined 8 points. So in the offseason here, when I would argue you get better at the running back position, you get Von Miller back, you get perhaps the best pass catcher in the entire draft in Dalton Kincaid, you get a fully healthy Tre'Davious White back, you get a fully healthy Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer back. This team 100% is a better team going into the season than they were to end it. It's not even close. And halfway through the season last year, the Bills were faced with all sorts of ups and downs. They still wound up going on to win 13 out of 16 games that they actually had count, right? 13 out of 16 games. And even though those 13 wins at times never seemed overly impressive, at the end of the day, all that matters is getting the victory. They have proved time and time again that no matter what they're faced with, they are going to be a team that is going to, at the very least, win double-digit games and be right in the thick of things so long as Josh Allen is out there. To demote them, simply based on the fact that Aaron Rodgers is now a New York Jet, to demote the Buffalo Bills to a 9-8 team, 3rd place in the AFC East, and to promote the New York Jets to a 13-4 team, a team that hasn't made the playoffs, and I could not tell you how long. It is absolutely absurd. It is asinine to me. There's really no word accurate enough to sum up how much this absolutely pisses me the hell off. Because you got people with NFL Network in their bio in their logo, paying them a salary to come out and be the voice of reason, so to speak, to come out and be the guys that are supposed to be in the know, the people that are supposed to be the guys that know everything, that have the most accurate predictions. All of that's done. Being accurate anymore, that's not even the goal. It clearly is not the goal. If your goal was to be accurate, if your goal was to have an educated guess as to what you think the outcome of this season would be, nobody in their right mind would have the New York Jets at 13-4 and the Buffalo Bills at 9-8. You look at the schedule, because the Bills and the Jets play nearly identical schedules. Where do you see the New York Jets getting away with 4 losses while the Bills in that same schedule wind up with double the amount? Make it make sense to me. Where's the argument for that? Like I said earlier, I understand if you got a 3-way race towards the top there and it's incredibly tight, and you got the New York Jets winning this division at 11-6, the Bills also finish 11-6, the Jets take the tiebreaker, I'll hear you out. It's more than fair to me. To have the Buffalo Bills and at third place, 1 game above a New England Patriots team that, as of right now, is easily one of the worst teams on paper. We don't know what the hell will happen, but I guarantee you that I will not be eating these words by the end of the season. That's how confident I am in it. I cannot for the life of me foresee a Mac Jones-led New England Patriots team overlapping the amount of talent that we currently see in this AFC right now. If that happens, I'll gladly eat my words. I will gladly come on here and admit I was wrong. I would not be the only one. Hell, I'd be one of millions of people who would have to come on here and eat it, because there's not a soul on the planet who thinks the New England Patriots are on the same level of the Buffalo Bills or the majority of the other teams towards the top of this AFC. It is just way too good. The New England Patriots in the NFC, hey, I'd give them a fighting chance. 100%. They're similar to a New York Giants type team, in my opinion. Quarterback shaky. I like the coaching. You never want to count them out on any given week, but do you ever really want to put your money on them? That's the type of team I see the New England Patriots as. And I don't even know who put this graphic out, but whoever put this out, you mean to tell me that he looks at the Buffalo Bills, a team who just a couple of seasons ago, and mind you, these rosters haven't changed dramatically since that moment. A couple of seasons ago, this Buffalo Bills team put together the most perfect performance in NFL playoff history against this New England Patriots team, absolutely embarrassing them on a level we have never seen before. You mean to tell me a year and a half, 2 years removed from that moment where these rosters have hardly changed, and if anything, you could argue the Bills roster has gotten better than the New England Patriots when it comes to the progression of those two organizations from that time to now? You mean to tell me that you're going to take those two organizations and have them on the exact same level in the 2023 season, the Bills being separated by 1 game? A 9-8 record for the Buffalo Bills would be an extraordinary fall off. An 8-9 record for the New England Patriots would be about expectation. I'd say probably a little bit better. I understand if you want to make your bold predictions and say that the Bills might have a down year because of X, Y, and Z. It seems to be the flavor of the offseason here. Everybody's down on these Buffalo Bills. I get it. Everybody wants to be the guy who predicts the downfall of one of these teams. The Bills have been the easy target. Let me give you 2 reasons why the Bills have been the easy target. And these are really the only 2 reasons. Maybe 3. I'll throw in a third one. But here are the 2 main reasons. The primary reason had been the drama, quote unquote, between the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, and Stefon Diggs. If you are still holding your hat on that bullshit, I feel sorry for you. It is a sad take to have your name attached to. If you still think that that is affecting this organization so much so that it's going to reflect on their win-loss column, you're out of your mind. Yet I still see that trying to be brought into these conversations. I still see people trying to extract crumbs from this non-existent storyline. And we just saw Stefon Diggs put this to bed last week. He said everything's fine. Diggs himself came out And I thought he put it perfectly. The way he spoke about the situation and the way he put it to rest, move on. There are still people who find fault in the relationship between Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs, and they are linking that to a downfall of a year for these Buffalo Bills. It is sad. The other argument that these exact same people have is the downfall of Josh Allen, the regression of Josh Allen. It is the laziest take I've heard in some time. I simply do not understand where these claims are coming from. Visually last year, yes, Josh Allen was not as sexy of a player out on the field, his play style, right? It was not as elusive. It was not as electric. I agree with it. If you compare what Josh Allen looked like towards the end of the year last year, compared to what he looked like at the end of the year prior, I agree with you. I agree with you. Look at the numbers, because at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. You look at the numbers, where's the regression? And I understand maybe a bit of a downfall compared to what they had faced last year, and just overall compared to the fact that Josh Allen the year prior was just off the charts. I understand you want to look at it to be a bit of a downfall in your mind or whatever. You would think the way that they are labeling the Bills based off of Josh Allen's regression, you would think last year Josh Allen turned into his own version of, I don't know, Ryan Tannehill. You would think Josh Allen turned into Ryan Tannehill last year, Rico, the way that they're now trying to project Josh Allen's regression onto this overall team's success. It's non-existent, and those are the two arguments that you're mainly getting, and I think they're both baseless and utter bullshit. The third one, and this is where we're going to get into this, Rico, with this list here. The third one is the addition of Aaron Rodgers. Look, I understand. Aaron Rodgers, first ballot Hall of Famer, no question. It felt like last year the Jets were a quarterback away. I even felt that way. They are going to be a damn good team this year. Last year, the Green Bay Packers did not make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers. The Minnesota Vikings ran away with that division, and these same Buffalo Bills put an absolute ass whooping on those Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay Packers. The New York Jets are going to be a damn good football team this year. But if you think that the addition of Aaron Rodgers propels this team to a 13-4 organization who runs away with the AFC East while the Buffalo Bills are one game above the New England Patriots in last place, you are out of your absolute mind. And I can't even think of a legitimate argument, right, to put together to change your mind, because if you already think that way, Rico, if you already think that way, you've already completely lost it. There's no argument to be had with you. You're not worth the time. All you're looking for is clicks and comments. We'll give them to you, but my God, it is embarrassing if that's what you're running into the season with, those type of takes.
Now, golly, I thought I fixed it. We're just gonna have to roll with it, guys. I'm sorry.
It doesn't sound all that bad to me.
Oh well, we're gonna have to roll. I mean, if people can deal with this, and I can't because it's bugging in my ear, we're just gonna have to roll. But apparently, the person that made this list, ironically, is a Jets fan. So it makes sense. It totally makes sense. They're Jets fan. But give some respect to where it's due. You can't tell me the addition of Aaron Rodgers all of a sudden puts them on a 13-win team, and the Bills fall at 9-8.
Look at their schedule.
You gotta be kidding me. Nah, that ain't gonna. I ain't gonna lie with that, right? And things. I have the utmost respect for the Jets. I got the utmost respect for the Miami Dolphins. But you ain't gonna sit here and put both of them ahead of them. Both of them. Now we match up well against the Miami Dolphins. We match up well, right? We're one mishap away from beating them in the first game in the first place. Isaiah McKenzie's wide open. Josh Allen had to hitch up a little bit. We're in. We got that win, right? Now. Injuries, all that BS that went and played with it. But when you put roster versus roster, scheme versus scheme, you're not telling me you're a better team than me. Way better team. 13-4, you got the Bills at 9-8. Are you nuts? That's just pure hate. Now, this is what I actually love what's going on right now. I kind of like it. I think the Bills fans and Bills players are onto it. With all the hoopla, right? The Jets being on Hard Knocks. They don't want it, but they're on it. But the fact that these guys are on Hard Knocks and the attention is on them, it allows the Bills to fall back in place and just focus on what they do best. Stack up wins, Do it quietly and let them keep talking about the Miami Dolphins. Let them keep talking about the Jets, and then we just gonna prove it again that we're gonna be the number one team again in that division. And then everybody's gonna be like, "Well, it's just the Bills." No, 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 no. Keep that same mother effing energy when we take that division again. Is it gonna be tough? But my goodness. Now, I hope the echo is not horrible. If it's unlistenable, I'm gonna try to do something. I might have to actually flip it to my other laptop. The audio just won't be as great, as crisp as this mic is. But I'll be right back. I can just switch up to the next laptop. But I had to bring that point out, and we'll just get it going. So that being said, we're gonna move off of these Jets for a moment because I got something else to talk about. Because we're gonna get into camp. And right now, the big time conversation is Gabriel Davis.
I know it. Who would have thought?
And I've got some audio to play. And as soon as I play this audio, I'll be back on my other laptop and we're going to keep it rolling. But let me play this audio for you. This is coming from Chris Brown. And this audio coming from Chris Brown is great because I had my man Pierre was at camp just the other day and he echoed the same sentence. But let me get this audio going for you guys and I'm going to jump on my other laptop and let's get this thing rolling. But Chris Brown, our very own Chris Brown, had this to say about Gabriel Davis. Check this out.
Line for what would have amounted to like a 70-yard touchdown. And this is the third straight day now. I told you yesterday, Gabe Davis is picking up steam. He's rolling now. I mean, he's like a freight train going downhill. I think he's really feeling himself. And to me, maybe it's because of the ankle injury last year. I know I noted this to you yesterday that his legs look more muscular from top to bottom. I don't know if he's squatting 700 pounds now or something, but the squats are paying off because he looks faster to me, like significantly faster off the line, faster out of the stem of his routes, and faster after the catch. And I think it's why he's putting together some big plays. And the reason why I say that, Steve, is it's not 60 yards through the air, make the catch. It's 20 yards through the air and run 40.
Right.
There's more rack yards with Gabe and the big plays he has made the last 3 days in camp, which is encouraging because we've heard, hey, we need more rack yards.
I could have sat and listened to that all day. Couple of things. We have to understand that last year, perhaps the pressure put on Gabe Davis, I don't even know if you could say perhaps, because I think we saw it unfold exactly the way that I'm going to portray it here. I think it was far too high. The last thing we had in our memory bank of Gabriel Davis going into last season was perhaps the greatest performance by a wide receiver in NFL playoff history. What he had put out on the field against the Kansas City Chiefs was nothing shy of remarkable. It was quite literally one of the greatest performances by a wide receiver we'd ever seen. And with Cole Beasley out of the mix now, going into last season with the Bills not adding another bona fide wide receiver 2 or 3, whatever, to this roster, the inevitability of Gabe Davis filling the shoes of wide receiver 2 and being the next great tandem with Stefon Diggs had become a fact before it had actually evolved. We had seen Gabe Davis make some extraordinary plays, culminating into one of the better performances we had seen in that Chiefs game. But we had yet to see Gabe Davis play the wide receiver 2 role, and we had yet to see if he was going to succeed in that type of increased production level on this offense. And last season, we saw at times that when Gabe Davis is on, he is on. I mean, when Gabe Davis is cooking, he's cooking, man. I think last year, when you look at it, Gabe Davis, did he have a great year? No. But I think it was far better than given credit for, mainly because the expectations for Gabe Davis last year were so astronomically high that he was never going to be able to hit them. And frankly, it's kind of a microcosm of what the Bills were in totality last season. The entirety of this franchise last year had expectations set so high they were never going to hit them, and we didn't find that out until the clock struck zero against the Bengals. And I think a lot of us saw the writing on the wall, but we were yet to be able to be faced with it. You know, like you didn't really come to terms with the insane expectations levied on the Bills last year until it all ended. And then you sat back and looked at all of it, right, Rico? And you said, man, for what this team had going into the year, and you kind of reflect on it, it was Super Bowl or bust. And this is a team that hasn't been to a Super Bowl since the late 90s, hasn't advanced past the AFC Championship since the late 90s, which is the same thing. I don't know why I said that, but hasn't proven, frankly, that they were worthy of that distinction last year. And they still went out and went 13-3. They still made it to the divisional, right? There were so many expectations that I always felt that if it didn't end up ending the way we wanted it to, there was never going to be a silver lining. That's how it felt. I think Gabe Davis is a microcosm of that. And I think what you could see here, Rico, and we talked about this a bit too, when you see Gabe Davis not only build up his own confidence, get another year under his belt, but also have an additional target, which Dalton Kincaid now is. We have talked about this. When Gabe Davis is part of a unit on offense that has multiple angles, that has multiple outlets, he becomes infinitely better. I think when you focus on him and him alone outside of Stefon Diggs, that's not his game. But when you have an offense now that's going to be cooking James, I didn't mean to say Cook beforehand. We're coming up with all these new nicknames for James Cook. But I like the way I was going with that. When you got an offense that's going to be cooking up plays with James Cook, you got Stefon Diggs. Now you got the 12-man personnel with Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. You're going to find that Gabe Davis, with additional outlets for Josh Allen now, I think we see more of a production level similar to 2021 than we did in 2022, mainly because Gabe Davis is better fit in an offense where he is part of a cyclical unit of guys consistently getting the ball, not just him being the sole man being relied upon outside of Stefon Diggs. Rico's in and out here. He's working on it. I've been here before. My computer's literally exploded in the middle of this. But so to me, though, Gabe Davis last season, I always go back to the Steelers game. There's moments with Gabe Davis where you look at him and you say, man, if you can get him on, the guy's extraordinary. But it's not every single week. Everybody immediately looks at the tandems of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, right? Or you look at Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and everybody thinks, oh, well, Gabe Davis was incredible in the Kansas City Chiefs game, so he's going to be the next guy to go next to Stefon Diggs to be this next tandem. It wasn't that to that degree, and so because of that, everybody just writes off Gabe Davis. The guy is in the best shape of his life, and I think he was last year. You heard Chris Brown alluded to it in that clip. He was banged up last year, and I think that definitely was a hindrance on his performance a season ago. Gabe Davis is one of those guys that we have seen when given an opportunity to succeed, and when he's completely locked in on a given Sunday, that guy can take over a game. He can flip a game up. Now, we've seen a few practices here where he's extraordinary. We don't know what's to come here in this coming season, but I will say this. I had this take as soon as the Bills drafted Dalton Kincaid, and I'm a firm believer of this. Gabe Davis in a role on offense where he is going to be part of the unit as opposed to being the majority of the unit outside of Stefon Diggs, he is going to be better for this team that way. That's why drafting Dalton Kincaid, to me, it's going to make Dawson Knox a better player. It's going to make Stefon Diggs a better player. It's going to make Gabe Davis a better player. It's going to make Josh Allen a better player. And what's that all culminate towards? A better offense. Gabe Davis is now healthy, best shape of his life. And let's not forget this on top of it. He's still young as hell. This is a guy that was propelled into being the next great for these Buffalo Bills based on one performance. Yes, he had a great rookie season, but Gabriel Davis had not proven that he was the solidified wide receiver too. And last year, battling an injury, I think the argument was pretty solid to say that he was not the wide receiver 2 that us fans thought he would be a season ago. But coming into this season with, I think, a revamped offense, another year for Ken Dorsey, a healthy team that I think it's overlooked all the time, how banged up this Bills team was throughout different patches of the season last year. This team is a lot better than people are giving credit for. It goes both ways. Going into last year, why was the hype so high on the Bills? The last thing we had saw from them, despite it being a loss, was an insane performance against the Chiefs. And that's why everybody bought into the Bills. And then when they went out and got Von Miller, that was the final little piece thrown into the puzzle that had everybody believing the Bills were the Super Bowl favorite. All you had to do was look at that one game, the last thing we had saw from these Bills. Oh, they added Von Miller, future first ballot Hall of Famer right there on the D-line. Everybody had felt the Bills were a piece on D-line away. Boom. Now this coming season, the last thing we saw from the Buffalo Bills was an uninspired, god-awful, piss-poor performance against the Cincinnati Bengals. Right? And a team that I think down the stretch did not look like they had in the beginning of the season. So the last thing we remember from these Bills was mediocrity to some degree and then a terrible performance against the Bengals. That's why everybody's so down on them. To me, Gabriel Davis is going to be a major impact on this offense. I think he was last season. It just wasn't to the degree that we all thought it could be. But you look at the running back room this year, it's better. You look at the weaponry unit, it's better. You look at the health, it's better. You look at the experience level, it's much higher. This team, you could argue, I think, Rico, and I don't know if we've talked about this that much, but you could argue going into this season, this team is better than they were going into last season. And the hype last year was tenfold what it is right now. And I like it like this. Like you said before you hopped off a minute ago, where you're saying the Jets are getting all this love, therefore the Bills are kind of flying under it. This is part of it. I think this Bills team is just as talented, if not more talented, and I would argue probably a bit more than they were going into last year. And you hear things like this about Gabe Davis emerging. We've all heard about what Dalvin Kincaid's doing in practice, right? I'm telling you, keep letting everybody say this stuff. We'll listen to what everybody watching practice is saying. And I'm going to ride with that before I ride with whatever the hell his name is over at NFL Network's telling me he's not watching practice. That's for sure.
I hope I'm not echoing. If I'm echoing, I'm going to apologize because I don't know what the heck is going on, and it's driving me insane. If I am, I'm going to just retire right now and see if I got this. Am I echoing?
Are you using a mic?
I went from one laptop to another, now on my damn phone, and I'm about to just throw this thing into the toilet and flush it.
I think you sounded better before. I didn't think it was that bad. I know everybody else was saying it was pretty bad. I didn't sound all that bad.
It's probably on your. Listen, I'm ready to say, listen. I don't know what's going on, man. I can't come. You're gonna have to come and do this thing. I gotta figure out a way to jump on another network and try to get this thing. Or it's mine. My thing is your thing. I don't know what's going on, but nonetheless, I'm gonna try to work this out. This is unlistenable. I can't even do this, man. This is terrible.
I would jump back on the way it was earlier.
BRB.
All right. We got to cut Rico a little bit of slack because I've been there before. It sucks. This is the most annoying thing ever, especially when the show's live. Absolute worst. Although I don't know what he just did there. He might as well. He was on some sort of dial-up internet right there. Vetta coming in saying he sounds like the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, literally. He sounds like Dorothy and Toto just showed up to the palace there, and Rico's that big green guy, that big green whatever, the wizard. Somebody's behind the curtain pulling all the strings. That's one thing I kind of want to talk about, though. That kind of segued me into one thing that kind of just hit me. And I've been kind of just trying to let things play out without giving them too much attention, because this is the time of the year. This is the time of the year when you can get way too high, you can get way too low. And as we saw with the Stefon Diggs stuff, Everybody was just trying to find a way to get way too low on the Buffalo Bills, even though there was no reason to. But that was the perfect example to show you. Everybody was trying their best to find something to knock these Buffalo Bills off the pedestal. Something. And it's a perfect storm, right? You combine what the New York Jets are doing, and they have all the spotlight. They'll be on Hard Knocks coming up here, right? They have Aaron Rodgers. They have a great young core. They're the entirety of the spotlight. But let's think back to where we were as Bills fans just a year ago, getting ready for that Rams game to open up the entire season. What's the difference really right now between the Buffalo Bills going into this coming season and the Bills at this exact point last year going into last? The only real difference you could say is that the hype train was wild off of the acquisition of Von Miller. The Bills were without Von Miller for the majority of the season last year and still went 13-3. Von Miller's back this year and healthy. Tre'Davious White is back this year for his first full season off the ACL injury, healthy. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, which I think is the most overlooked aspect of this entire team, when healthy or unhealthy. You know damn well this team is not even close to the same when they're unhealthy. Those two are back together in the backfield, and when they're both out there, this Bills team is one of the best defenses in all of football. And in my opinion, that is one of, if not, the best secondary in the NFL with those two out on the field. You have that. You have Damian Harris, James Cook in a second year with a what I believe to be, which has to be a larger role, right? Dalvin Kincaid. And what we're hearing about Dalvin Kincaid is lining up with what exactly Rico and I were told about 2 months ago about this kid. We were told that he's got the makings to be the next great. And when we said that, everybody coming out saying, you can't say that about the kid. You can't put that type of pressure on this kid. He hasn't played a snap yet. I am aware. The fact that people are even uttering that he has the capability of being a great for this team just should show you the potential. And what are we hearing? Every step of the way throughout the early practices here in camp, throughout the early OTA sessions, Dalton Kincaid's the real deal. I had read from a reporter a couple of days ago during camp saying that Dalton Kincaid does not look like a rookie in the slightest. Dalton Kincaid looks like a veteran on this team who simply belongs. He simply does not look like a guy who hasn't played an NFL game yet. He looks like a guy who is more than deserving of being out on that field. He is a guy that looks like he has been a part of this league for some time. I've also read the guy does not drop a single ball. The guy doesn't drop a damn thing thrown to him. And what was the one thing that we had constantly been hearing about Dalton Kincaid fresh off the draft pick? It was that he potentially has the best hands in the entire draft, regardless of position. So you look at this Bills roster going into this season. Add on top of the fact that I think Josh Allen's he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder going into this year. He hears all the talk. People are down on Josh Allen. I go back to when he was named the cover of Madden. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. When Josh Allen was named to the cover of Madden, it was people saying, he doesn't deserve this. What has Josh Allen done to deserve this? I think Josh Allen hears a lot of this. And he said it himself. He's never been more focused on football than he has been this season. Going into this season, I don't see the talent drop off at all. I think that there is just as much going into this year to be excited about as there was last year. The main difference, and I've said this from the beginning, the main difference, it's not that the Bills have gotten any worse. It's that everybody else has gotten better. That's why people are down on the Bills. I don't think people are necessarily down on them because of their talent. I think they're down on them because they see what the rest of the AFC is, and I think that that's more than fair. Whoever winds up getting out of the AFC and making the Super Bowl this year deserve the ring right then and there, in my opinion. This AFC is ridiculous. And I think that's why so many people are down on these Buffalo Bills. They look across the AFC and they think, well, Josh Allen didn't look as good as he looked the year prior. They looked terrible against the Bengals. And so because of that, we're just going to completely overwrite. We're going to completely overlook them. And then we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at the new toys, the new shiny toys, Aaron Rodgers in particular. And the AFC East being as tight as it is, that's why the Bills are an easy conversation to have on the radio or on TV, because saying that they're going to be down this year is going to get a reaction. And the AFC East, when you look across the AFC in its entirety, I mean, outside of the West, it is definitely the best division in the conference, for sure. And I think you could easily make an argument for 3 teams in that division winning. I said that earlier. I think you could make an argument for the Dolphins winning it. I think you could make an argument for the Jets winning it. And all 3 of these teams are a couple of games away, or an injury or 2 away from being completely surpassed by one of the others. All of these teams have to face each other twice. It's going to be an utter gauntlet. And then outside of the AFC East, you look at what these teams all have to play. And I think right now where the Bills stand, I'd much rather be in this position than where they were last year. Last year, it was like the Bills are the field. And there was part of me that was really excited about that, because as a younger Bills fan, I had never been a part of that conversation in my entire life. It had always been just you were clinging on hope and hope alone. That's all it had ever been. It was always, oh, maybe this year, right? Last year was more of a certainty, and that felt strange. It was exciting, but it was also terrifying. And as you saw the year kind of come to its end the way it did, you'll look back at what it was, and that's when it kind of hit you, that the expectation level was far too high, and what these Bills had gone through, it just weighed on them to the point where it completely fizzled out. But going into this season, I think that they're just as talented, if not more talented, and I also think that the expectation level being where it's at is perfect. It's perfect. Because the Buffalo Bills, which is insane to say, can fly under the radar to some degree, because now it's gone from the Bills and the Chiefs, and now it's the Chiefs and the Bengals. Maybe we'll throw the Bills in there, but most people want to throw the Jets in there now, or the Dolphins in there now, or whoever else. Throw the Chargers in there, right? They'll throw in the Jaguars, whoever. Seems to be the fun thing to do, is to throw in anybody but the Buffalo Bills. But you really look at it, this Bills team is probably better at this point going into this season than they were last year. So I love getting overlooked a bit here, because it makes it a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? I think as a fan, it makes it a lot easier and a lot less tense. Last year, it just felt tense from the beginning. And it was also tough going into the beginning of last season, the way they did, just dominating against 2 teams that we looked at to be top contenders, who they weren't, the Rams and the Titans. You saw the way they won those 2 games, and you were thinking, damn, the Bills are going to destroy everybody. This AFC is damn good. And I don't think the Bills, not winning the AFC East, because I think that that's a reality that could potentially be in the cards. This is the toughest it's going to be for these Buffalo Bills since Josh Allen has been the quarterback to win the AFC East. So if that doesn't happen, I don't think it's necessarily an indictment on this team. It's more so a representation of just how great not only the AFC is in itself, but of course this division. But this Bills team is just as talented, if not more, than they were going into the season last year. And because of that, they should not be written off by anybody to any degree. They're going to be in the thick of it the whole entire way, as they have been under Josh Allen. Super chat coming in from William on YouTube. He's saying D-line has been dominant all camp. Kincaid could be Kelsey 2.0 in my opinion. And Josh is going to have an MVP year. I'm 25 and I ain't ever felt this type of excitement going into a Bills season. Go Bills. See, Williams kind of on the same trajectory I am. I'm 26, Williams 25. And I think I'm right there with you, William, to some degree. I have never been more excited for a prospect outside of Josh Allen, of course. I've never been more excited for a prospect than I am for Dalton Kincaid. And it's for reasons beyond just what he could potentially be in himself. I think the presence of him out on this field is going to open up this offense extraordinarily. And I also think that there's a couple of aspects to last season that were so overhyped and were never given a fair chance that we were, you look back on it and I think you make it seem way worse than it was. That was Ken Dorsey's first year as the OC. And I think people expected it to just be a flawless transition from Brian Daboll, who's now being called an offensive genius by some outlets, a guy who went and brought the New York Giants, led by Daniel Jones, to the playoffs and won a playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings, who had an extraordinary year. I mean, think about what Brian Daboll was and still is. He's a phenomenal coach. To think there wasn't going to be even some sort of a pullback between him and Ken Dorsey was probably foolish. And I'm in that camp as well. I thought it was going to be seamless just because Ken Dorsey was already in the building. Everybody knew him. Everybody wanted him in that position with the departure of Brian Daboll. But Brian Daboll was a gem. He was an extraordinary offensive coordinator, and he has solidified himself as one of the better coaches in the league, or one of the better young coaches in the league. And to think that that wasn't going to be some sort of downfall was probably foolish. Yet we give Ken Dorsey no credit for the successes he had last year. We also give him all the blame, and we never gave him a chance to be successful at all. And we were just talking about Gabe Davis. He's another example, another perfect example. Oh, extraordinary performance in the AFC Championship. Cole Beasley no longer on this team. Well, he's going to be instantly the best wide receiver, too, that these Bills could possibly have. He's going to light the league on fire. There were so many aspects last year that weren't given a fair chance. I think going into this year, they have much more of a fairer chance to succeed. They have another year under their belt, and the expectations are far less. I think that could really add up to being a better Bills team going into this year than we thought they could be last year, and that many could think they were even going to be this year, as we can see. I mean, 9-8. That's where some people have these Bills. Nobody had the Bills doing that last season.
Ziba, I want you to hop off a second.
Okay.
I'm going to take over. I want to try something. Ladies and gentlemen, are we here? Okay, so you'll notice that there was no echo. So it was never me the whole freaking time. Anyway, I want to jump on it because I got so much freaking things to say. I got so much hype right now, and I'm hearing all this Gabe Davis hype. I'm hearing all this stuff. Let me just jump into camp real quick, and I'm going to bring Ziba back in, and we'll figure something out, because can y'all hear echo? Is there echo going on right now? No? All right, I'm not going crazy because I was racking my brain and doing everything I can. So check this out, right? Ziba did an excellent job. An excellent job of explaining and the delusion that these folks have on the Bills finishing 98. And I'm not gonna harp over that. We just gonna prove what's happening. Now, I want to jump into the camp and what we're seeing. And it sucks for me to say it. I don't want to say it sucks. It's unfortunate that I have to bring this up. It's the Dalton Kincaid effect. And most people might say, what are you talking about? He's a rookie. How is he going to affect things? Let me tell you. When you have, Gabe Davis, with the way that Gabe Davis ended his year, and he had his best statistical year, yet we were still calling for, we need more from Gabe Davis, and rightfully so, because there were moments where we're like, what's going on? You saw the audio from my man, Chris Brown. Chris Brown came in and says he's looking thicker with 2 C's. He's looking stronger. He's not only catching the football, but he's not going down. He's not just a possession receiver. It's looking great in camp. He's actually catching and going rack. We've been begging for a receiver to give us rack yards, right? Running after the catch, and we need that. Create for yourself. That's what Gabe Davis has been doing all camp. And usually the defense is the one that gets the better of the offense. And the offense has been looking great some moments where my man Pierre, our guy Pierre, went to camp, and he goes, I'm telling you right now, Gabe Davis didn't just look like he was separate. He was getting separation. And this is before Chris Brown. This is before he was telling me all this. It's not about him catching the football and he's looking bigger. He's looking more effective. He's going up against Trey White. And I'm not, you guys already know my sentiments on Trey White, but he's going up against Trey White, the number 2 receiver, going up against the number 1 corner. And he's gotten the better of Trey White. And this is looking great. But I bring Dalton Kincaid into this because that's the effect that Dalton Kincaid brings you. Now the defense has to be accountable for Dalton Kincaid. 3 straight camp days where he's effective. And the best way I can explain it, and when he's catching the football, we talk about him catching the football with fluidity. Here's the thing. If you've played soccer ever in your lifetime, from a beginner to somebody coming on as a professional, when we were younger, if you played soccer, they always told you, go to the ball. Go to the ball. Never wait for the football, for the soccer ball to come to you. Kincaid gives you, and I'm trying to give you an idea if you've played soccer before. When you go to the ball, you've got to initially transition to going to the ball and turning and going with fluid motion. So it doesn't stop progression and going forward towards the net. Kincaid is, when he's catching, he's so smooth coming out of breaks. It's going to be a problem. How does that affect everybody else? Everyone else is going to eat. Everyone else is going to eat because you're so focused on what this rookie tight end is doing. And then you've got Dawson Knox on the other end, and we've got a plethora of playmakers. So when you hear 9-8 Bills, are you nuts? Listen, Dorsey's going into his second year. You don't think he's learned from his mistakes from the first year? Fam, if y'all keep sleeping on these Bills, y'all better wipe the crust from your eyes and wake up. But you know what? We'll take it. We will take it. We'll let these people talk about how we're going to regress. We're going to do this, that, and the third. We're going to get one game at a time. That's exactly how it's going to be. It's going to be one game at a time, and we're going to kill it that way. Now, who's been standing out of camp? And I want to bring my man Z-Ball back on. And I hate it because I don't want to put blame on him, but I want us to have that. Him and I go back and forth because there's several topics that I want to hit. Guess who's making noise in camp that we've been waiting for? We've had stints of this individual making their noise and doing what they do, but they've been consistently doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Oliver is becoming a problem. Ed Oliver is doing excellent things in camp. Ed Oliver is turning into the Ed Oliver that we wanted when we drafted him with a top 10 pick. Ladies and gentlemen, watch out for the emergence of Ed Oliver. And you put him alongside DeQuan. You put him alongside Groot. That's having a hell of a camp. Folks, fam, this is fantastic news to hear. Let's listen. If that is what we're going to get early in camp, and this translates to preseason, this is going to be a hell of a year for the trenches. Hell of a year for the trenches. Furthermore, Brandon Beane is telling us that, listen, do not sleep. Do not sleep on Von Miller potentially coming back way sooner than we anticipate. Yes, he's on the PUP list, but do not sleep on him potentially coming back. My goodness, if he comes back week 1 up against the Jets, when we know all eyes are going to be on this team, it's unreal. All right. I'm going to stick to the defensive side of the ball. Z-Bot, I'm going to bring you in just a moment. All right, bro. I'm going to stick to the defensive side of the ball, folks. You guys probably don't know this name very much. This name was a name when he got drafted was going to be special things. Played well with the Denver Broncos. Things happened. Shane Ray, ladies and gentlemen, is turning heads. Shane Ray, you know what I'm saying, is turning around his career. And what better place to come to turn your career around, especially on the defensive side of the ball, on the Buffalo Bills? You got Eric Washington holding things down, a veteran guy that knows what he's doing, and then you bring in a Shane Ray that can turn around. If we can get what Shane Ray was able to give, you know what I'm saying, in his early professional career in Buffalo, alongside the dogs that we got on this defense, watch out for this defense led by Sean McDermott. An aggressive Sean McDermott. And Sean McDermott's got my man's turning his head. So Shane Ray coming on in camp and doing what he's supposed to do is the underdog to make this squad. And you hear me say underdog. Why underdog? Well, listen, guys, we got some older vets on this squad. Lawson being one of them, right? And from what I'm reading and seeing, Lawson's been just okay, right? He's just been okay. So when you have somebody that's coming on, potentially cheaper, big things are coming out, man. Big things are coming out today. So we shall see. Listen, I'm loving what I'm seeing, and it's going to be tight right to the end. It's going to be a tight race for this camp battles that are going on right now. The one that's got me puzzled still, and I'm sure you guys are feeling this way. Dane Jackson, Kyer Elam, and Christian Benford, that situation, I'm telling you right now, man, watch out. That's all I'm going to mention is for you to watch out for that situation, because Dane Jackson doesn't seem to that he wants to give up that spot. I don't think he wants to give up that spot. And the name that we want to have that spot is Kyer Elam. Kyer Elam has been looking pretty decent, but so is Dane Jackson. And they're interchangeable in camp, which we don't want. But Dane Jackson's telling us, I'm not giving up that just yet. Don't give up on me just yet. I know you're hearing Christian Benford. I know you're hearing Kyer Elam, but don't give up on me just yet. I'm still in it. I'm still in it to win it. And watch out for my guy, Dane Jackson. So many battles going on. We knew this was going to be one of those battles that are going on. So many are going on right now. And look for that to happen. Now, we're going to step away from camp for just a moment because I want to talk about something. I'm going to try to bring my guy Z-Bot back on. I hope it isn't reverb, because if it does, we're going to have to figure it out.
Try something here. I switched this. I switched the setting. Try it. Talk.
Can we talk? Are we good? Are we straight? I think I'm loving this.
It sounds good to me.
It sounds good to me. Does it sound good to everybody else?
Let's get the verdict. And listen, was there ever a shadow of a doubt that it wasn't my fault? Because even when I'm not even in control, it of course was my fault. Oh, look, we're getting the thumbs up.
It sounds like we're Gucci right now. My goodness. Thank the good Lord, we back at it.
I know somebody earlier said it was my fault, and they were, and you know what? I forget who it was, but it was inevitable the whole time. I don't know who it was. But whoever.
Well, listen, whoever had my back, appreciate that.
I still think Rico went and did a little something and went ahead and fixed it.
I'm gonna tell you something.
I'm the easy scapegoat because you've all been on here before when this thing has went.
Yes, we have. And I was like a duck, man. It looked like maybe I was pretty cool on the surface, but my legs were like this. I was getting pissed off. This room is ruined because I was just pissed off.
You want to know what it was? It was a setting here on the StreamYard.
Son of a B, StreamYard. But anyway, we're back at it, baby. That's what we want. We're back at it.
We're done.
Let's get to it. So let's switch gears right now. Sean Payton. Did you hear what Sean Payton had to say?
I did.
How do you feel about Sean Payton's words towards Nate Hackett? Now, we all know Nate Hackett and the Denver Broncos. That was just a disaster. It was a disaster. Russell Wilson wasn't good. He wasn't where we needed him to be. We also had Nate Hackett as a first-year head coach, and it just wasn't good. It wasn't good. It
was terrible.
And he gets fired. He's now the new offensive coordinator for the Jets. He's reunited with Aaron Rodgers, and that's why the hype is all going towards the Jets. Let them have the hype. But Sean Payton had this to say when it comes to Nate Hackett. He pretty much says, and I don't want to. Let me just pull it up here, and I had it on my phone. He pretty much said it was a tire fire. Nate Hackett did a terrible job as head coach, and he pretty much just trashed him. He absolutely trashed Nate Hackett. Now, most people are like, okay, that was uncalled for. That was uncalled for. Now, Z-Bot, I need your opinion on this. If a coach, if you take on a job, and the previous person that was there you are having to fix this person's problems before you can actually see some results, are you going to sit there and publicly be like, yo, what the hell was this? This was awful. Or do you just fix it and prove to people that who you are, that's why y'all brought me in and I fixed it? How do you feel about Sean Payton's words towards Nate Hackett?
I wish he wouldn't have backtracked it, because the problem I have with the media a lot of the time is and when I say we, it seems to be the people in charge of delivering the narratives on these things. People always want honesty, yet when they get honesty, they want to bring you down for being honest. An example earlier, a couple of weeks ago, was when Justin Jefferson was asked his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, and he did not put Kirk Cousins on there. Do you want him to be honest, or do you want him to lie? Because if he lied, you would have said, no way in hell Kirk Cousins is a top 5 quarterback. And everybody who has watched football the last decade would say, yeah, no shit, Kirk Cousins isn't a top 5 quarterback. He is a serviceable quarterback. At times can be a damn good quarterback. He is not a top 5 quarterback. So if he would have said that, he would have gotten grilled. When he said he wasn't, and he was being 100% honest, and when he was being 100% factual, everybody ripping him to shreds. You're not going to put your quarterback on that list. It's your quarterback. You're not going to hype the man up. This is another example where Sean Payton was 100% right. Last year, everybody, including myself, took a look at the Denver Broncos and said, how is that team not vying for the top of the AFC with that roster and with Russell Wilson leading the charge? The fact that they not only were not even close to that, but were arguably one of the worst teams in the AFC throughout several weeks of the season was disgusting. So bad, in fact, that it had everybody related to the Broncos' job in question. It had people questioning whether or not the money they gave Russell Wilson was one of the worst signings in the history of the league.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton has been put into a position that is almost impossible. He has to come in and he has to put out a forest fire. And that is why they had to pay him the amount of money they did. They had to give up draft capital to get him out of New Orleans. He comes in. Was he incredibly aggressive and kind of angry when he said it? Absolutely. It was disrespectful. The way he said it towards a colleague that you could, that's how that things are looked. If you looked at this at any other job setting, right? If you looked at it, like it'd be like if we came on here and we just pick anybody, right? Like if we took any other Bills creator who said something dumb or whatever, and I went on here and ripped them to shreds, it'd be a bad look for me. It would, of course it would, because that's a dick move. It's a dick move to do that. However, there would be people out there who heard whatever somebody said or whatever and said, he's not wrong. So there's two ways to look at it. The example I'm giving you is much lower because there's way more of a personal level when we're just out here having fun and talking about the teams and whatever. If I'm going to attack somebody like that, that's terrible. But if I'm put into a position where I got to go and take over an entire network off of somebody's mistakes, and then I have to go and bring that back up to prominence because of whoever was in charge beforehand absolutely deteriorated it, right? Then I think that in order for me to move on from what the past was, which is what Sean Payton has to do, to some degree, he's got to say, listen, this team isn't bad. What happened last year was a result of awful management, of the inability to take advantage of what was on this team. He did it in a way that could have been done way kinder and in a much more, I think, easily digestible fashion.
1,000%. Him
going in and saying the Fox hat thing and whatever, because here's the reality. Sean Payton meant every word that he said, and every word that he did say was 100% spot on. Nate Hackett last year was completely over his skis. He butchered this entire organization from an offensive standpoint. He made Russell Wilson look like an absolute clown. And when he was at the lowest point of his career, Russell Wilson, there were no adjustments made to bring this team back to life. They were dead the entire season. Sean Payton went out and spoke the absolute truth. The problem with that is when you say the truth, nobody likes it. And they want to pretend that whatever you said was, it wasn't the truth. It wasn't honest. And you saying it makes you, whatever.
And you said it. Nobody likes the truth. And it's tough to swallow sometimes. Pause. So when I'll give you the quote, he said, everything I heard about last season, this is Sean Payton, we're doing the opposite, is what he said. It might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. Dude, when you call this brother the worst coaching job in the history of the NFL, do you know the coaches that we've had on the Buffalo Bills that have been, Dick Duran, for crying out loud. Dick
Duran didn't have Russell Wilson and a team that was already handcrafted to walk into the playoffs. They pissed on this team last year.
They did.
And Nate Hackett had no business. Rico, why was Nate Hackett the head coach of the Denver Broncos to begin with? Because they originally wanted Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. When that fell through, they immediately went and got Russell Wilson. Nate Hackett was already in place, and it was never what they wanted. Nate Hackett was there to lure Aaron Rodgers to the organization. It did not work
Couldn't
out.
happen. And they got Russell Wilson.
To put my whole take on this, Rico, to bed, the way he said it was wrong. The way he said it was wrong, and it was a bad look for Sean Payton. There's no other way around it. But two things can be true at once. Him being the dick in this situation and going out and saying it the way he did, if you were to look at him and say, man, what a jerk that guy is, I don't blame you at all. I'd probably agree with you. On the other hand, and at the same time, whatever he said, in my opinion, was dead on. That's coming from one of these coaches in the NFL the past 20 years that you would easily argue to be one of the best offensive minds the NFL has seen this century. So with that said, I'm going to take the opinion of Sean Payton much higher than I'm going to take the opinion of anybody else. And the way that he walked it back was just him saying, I understand that I'm in a position now where I have to be a leader of men and not be the guy that's causing the headlines, but the guy putting the headlines away. So that's why he did what he did. But if you think that he didn't mean that, you're nuts. And I think whatever he said was 100% said with truth.
And two things. And here's the thing: when you put yourself out there, and now you're part of the headlines. Now all eyes are on you. All eyes were already on you because you are Sean Payton. Now that you poo-pooed on another coach. Now we're like, okay, we're looking at you to see what you're going to do with this roster, but now we're looking at you with scrutiny now. Now we're going to look at everything you do because now if you have a poo-poo year, boy, are they going to get on your behind because of who you are, right? You have a roster. I mean, I feel bad for Tim Patrick with the torn Achilles. Shout out to Tim Patrick, but that sucks for him. But the fact of the matter is this: you got a target on your back, and now you're in the AFC West.
I know.
You got the Chiefs. You got the fam. You should have just kept your mouth shut and just went down to work. Now people are just gonna be looking at you, be like, "Yo, are the Broncos gonna do anything?" We're about to find out.
Oh, he made his bet, sure.
Right now, here comes Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was not playing games. Yo, keep my coach's name out your mouth. That's straight up what he said. Keep my coach's name out your mouth. And he said, he thought this was way out of line. He says inappropriate, and I think he needs to keep my coach's name out his mouth. That's exactly what he said. So we're about to find out how that exactly goes down over there in the West. Peyton's got a good little roster with him, right? He's got himself his quarterback, and he's got his quarterback in line, and we shall see. Russell Wilson's looking good. He's in shape. We're about to find out what these Broncos in the AFC West is about. But golly, it wasn't a good look for my man Sean Payton, and all eyes are going to be on Sean Payton. Let's see what you got.
Well, you make a good point there, by the way, and I didn't think about that, but that's a good point. The reason, above all, that he shouldn't have said anything is not necessarily what he said was wrong, but now you're right. It'll be the first thing brought up now. Like it's like anything else, like with the Stefon Diggs thing that doesn't exist. Like if Diggs has a bad game, this will be brought up. Now, like when the Denver Broncos have a bad game, or Sean Payton goes for it in a fourth down and they don't get it, this is the first thing that's going to be brought up. So that's accurate. It's just, I got to tell you though, Rico, the refreshing thing about this from our perspective, this is what I like about this type of stuff. Even though I thought it was said a bit, it just seemed like it was said in anger. The one thing I do like about this, and I don't know how you feel, but I just like someone coming out and saying it how they feel, man. These guys, these guys take the podium and they try to spin a bunch of bullshit along to us all the time. Whether you agreed with the guy or not, at least, listen, whatever he said, he meant and he felt, and I appreciate that, whether you agree with him or not, because we get a whole bunch of white lies non-stop from these guys. So that is the refreshing thing. You never hear any honesty from a GM or coach anymore. So I'll give power to him, but your point's dead on. He made his bet. How's he going to lay in it now? That's the question.
How he's going to lay in it. But what's the saying? When you point fingers at somebody else, you got like two fingers pointed right back at you. Well, my man's got, he's going to have thousands, millions of fingers pointed right back at him. Be like, all right, we watch you now, son. We watch you now. Now we're going to transition to something because you were talking about honesty.
Yeah.
And Jim Irsay, the
oh my God,
Colts GM. Oh my gosh,
he's another one, man. Oh my God,
my man Jim Irsay. He's had a lot of things to say about this whole Johnathan Taylor situation, and this Johnathan Taylor situation is odd. You've got the best player on the Colts offense by far, and he's only the ripe age of 24, 25 years of age, And he gets it. He sees the writing on the wall. He sees the disrespect happen to running backs. Ezekiel Elliott is without a job right now. Josh Jacobs can't get paid. Saquon Barkley had to take a 1-year deal to avoid being franchise tagged. There's so many things going on at the running back position. Now, my question to you before we even begin is, does Johnathan Taylor have any leverage in his decision to request a trade?
Yes and no. No, in the sense that he was hurt all last year. So I don't know. I don't know how you can miss a whole season and then think that you are the one to kind of dictate the conversation here. But on the same note, the Colts are abysmal, and he's the only guy on that offense worth a damn. So that's the other part of it that I look at as well. I don't think the leverage. Here's how I look at it, though, when you're looking at the question in itself, Rico. If you're even having a topic, if the topic of conversation even boils down to the running back having to be the main focus of, it's the same thing with Saquon, it's the same thing with Josh Jacobs. If your team's success boils down to whether or not your running back has leverage, I got news for you. Your team blows. Okay, that is the unfortunate reality. If the argument coming down to whether your team's going to be successful going forward or not is whether you're keeping your running back happy. Sorry to tell you, if you had a franchise quarterback that you believed in on your team, you wouldn't care whether or not your running back was out there making waves, because it doesn't matter. The Chiefs just won a Super Bowl ring with a 7th rounder at running back. It does not make a difference. But these teams are led by their running back, so that's where I think that they do have some sort of leverage. But the problem is that position in itself, throughout the entirety of the NFL, is not looked at to be a position that should be in this position. The only difference, though, is the teams that have running backs that are finding themselves being the ones looking for, an additional compensation package to be traded or whatever. The difference is those guys, not only are they some of the best in the league at their position, but they're on teams that are nothing offensively without them. So that's the problem. I think that he does not have much to stand on just because of the market the running back position currently is in and him coming off of an injury. But I don't think you can look at his situation, Rico, the same way you can look at other teams, because the Colts, similar to the Giants, similar to the Raiders, if you don't have your top running back, your team is a shell of itself on offense. So it's a very unique position to be in. And what Jim Irsay went out and did was about as dumb as you. Another point I want to make real quick here, too, and I'm sure you agree with me, Rico. It's moments like this where everyone is. I've been hearing this forever about how the Pagulas aren't great owners for the Sabres and this and that or whatever. We should be on a rotating, like once a year, we should just give thanks to the Pagulas, because we don't have to deal with this. You know how many teams have to deal with ownership like this? They are inflaming every possible situation. Whereas the Pagulas, when do you even hear from them unless it's something positive? You don't. And that's what you want your ownership to be. He has been, ever since the Jeff Saturday situation, Rico, this guy, I can't take him serious at all.
Listen, the Pagulas absolutely mind their owner business, right? They stay and do owner things and let the GM take care of all the things possible. They don't meddle in the affairs. And that's what I do like about the Pagulas. But at the same time, they hire the right people. Listen, my job is to just make sure this team makes money. You build this team and make sure you do what you're supposed to do. Now, leverage for Johnathan Taylor.
Yeah, what do you think?
I thought it was awful timing. Awful timing to request a trade. I get it. You see what's happening around the league, and you're looking at my age, you're looking at what you've done for the team. I'm a shoo-in for you to get another contract. But you see what's happening out there. Now, to me, you don't have the leverage right now. You don't have the leverage right now based on what's going on right now. Ezekiel Elliott's still out there. If you want to keep bullshitting, they're just going to bring Ezekiel Elliott and bring him in. Now, here's what I hate about this. Jim Irsay knows damn well that this is your biggest piece. But Jim Irsay also knows that, listen, you had a bum year last year. You had a bum ankle last year. You finished with just shy of 1,000 yards. The year before that, you had 1,800 yards. The year before that, you had 1,300 yards. Damn good back. I know you are, and you're young. But I see what's happening out there. And right now, they're saying 27, 28 is when you start to go over the edge as not being a running back of taste. Here's the kicker. Zach Moss was primed to take over as the backup running back, and he breaks his arm and he's out 6 weeks. So now the leverage comes back on Johnathan Taylor. But it's horrible because now you're going to sit here and everybody's sticking their hands sticking their feet in the sand. And now what? Deion Jackson is a good back. He's about to get his opportunity. But here's what I hate about this situation. They're pretty much saying, the message pretty much is saying, either you're Saquon Barkley or your freaking backup, like you. Who do you want to? Who do I want to say? Like Deion Jackson, you got Devin Singletary. You're pretty much saying all backs are all the same. Period. There ain't no elite. There ain't no nothing. Everybody's on the same level. So I can pretty much take out Saquon and put in freaking the backup running back for whatever team you want to think of, and they'll manage.
Right.
And this is where the running back position has to. Elite is elite. If I'm an elite back, pay me as an elite back. If I'm there, pay me as an elite back. But golly, Darrington, that's like taking Darrington Evans, right, and saying, you know what, you can take over Saquon because Saquon's not gonna do anything. So that's the way I look at you guys. Nah, that's not cool. Now, leverage is not on Johnathan Taylor's side. I feel bad for him, and it's not looking good. Everybody's digging their feet in the sand, and it's just not gonna end. Either you're gonna play or you're not. And the owner's just gonna say, all right, you don't want to do that? I'm gonna take $40,000 from you every day you miss camp. Woo-hoo! That hurts. That really does.
That's the problem. But the what you just said is spot on. You can't treat the Saquon situation to me is the best example, and it kind of represents all of them, all of these specific circumstances. Like, for instance, last year, if Devin Singletary going into the contract season before the Bills move on from him, if Devin Singletary goes to the media or his agent goes to the media or whatever and is demanding X, Y, and Z, what are we going to do but sit here and say, man, hey, Singletary, man, much love. I enjoyed having you around, but dude, no one's going to be backing you up on this, brother. I hate to say it, right? That's just, it's so inevitable. This is what comes back to the point at hand here. Because if you have a Josh Allen, you have a Mahomes, or like, for instance, this is the perfect example. What just happened in Cincinnati? Mixon took a pay cut because he knows damn well they'll tell him, hey, Joe, you gave us some great years here in Cincy. You were our highlight piece before Burrow came, but man, those days are long gone. We appreciate having you around. Here's the door, and we wish you a successful rest of your career. Mixon smartly saw the writing on the wall there. He took a pay cut, so not only is he going to get paid, but he's going to be on a team that's going to be a team primed for success. They get it, right? There's teams that understand that this is not going to be a worry of theirs. They have a franchise quarterback. As of right now, we don't know what's going to happen with the Colts, right? But this could happen down the line, just not the current situation. But right now, the Colts, the Giants, the Raiders, 3 teams right there with running backs that have had outspoken issues about their pay. Those are 3 teams right there, and you can argue it to me until you're blue in the face because Daniel Jones got paid. I don't care. He is not a franchise quarterback, and he absolutely robbed the New York Giants blind. I give him credit all day long for taking that bag and running away with it because that was the heist of the century. But those 3 teams right there, Rico, are 3 teams that do not have a quarterback that they can rely on to be the primary cornerstone of their success. The primary cornerstone of their success is their running back. They cannot come out and treat them like they are a run-of-the-mill running back like other teams can, because the truth of the matter is those teams are currently revolved around their running back. And that's why Derrick Henry has gotten paid what he's gotten paid. And people compare the contract that he gets to other teams. You could argue Derrick Henry should have been getting paid quarterback type salary the last decade or so, the way he had been built, the way he was the absolute entirety of the Titans offense, right? And if you look at the Giants, what's Daniel Jones going to be without having Saquon Barkley? What are the Raiders going to be without having Josh Jacobs? So these teams can't look at everything black and white because it's just not. This is a very unique position.
It is. And this is the last part I'm going to play on this. And Dominique Foxworth, very smart individual, he says there's a way to fix this whole running back conundrum, this whole running back situation. And apparently for players that weren't drafted high draft pick, but are playing like a star player, I would just say star player for now. There's a pool of money that teams have that it's incentive based. So the next CBA needs to happen. They need to for running back position alone, because they're the ones that are paid the least, but are so damn important to the team when it comes to franchise tags and so on and so forth. But anyways, long story short, these guys are gonna have to construct their contracts on incentives. Like, if I'm giving you this and I'm giving you this is what you're gonna have to pay me. No ands, ifs, or buts. And apparently there's a pool of money specifically for that. So Dominic Foster plays that out. So these running backs are going to have to play the game differently. And I hope, and this is what I hear the rumor is, now it's like, well, my back hurts. Oh, my knee hurts. Oh, my ankle hurts. And that's what you got to, it's sad when you have to go that route. But anyways, I don't want to stay on this case too long. Because
just one quick thing, Rico, to your point, though. Nothing's going to happen here. That CBA isn't due to be renegotiated till 2030. So
exactly,
they're going to either, like you said, if this was your son, Rico, right, and you had to give advice, or if this was just you in general, and this was your specific position, I'm sorry. I understand it might not be fair, but you are the fool in the situation if you're giving up $40K a day to not go to practice. I'm sorry. You're the one losing out here. They'll move on from you and not think twice. You are not a quarterback. And unfortunately, that's what this league's built around. So Go get your money, man, because you're never going to get another opportunity to get it again.
But here's the tough part, because here's what's going to happen. And he sees it. He's already ahead of the game. He'll play this year, right, and have a great year. And then he'll get tagged. And then he'll play another year and have a great year, and then get tagged again. And by that time, you're 26, 27 years of age. You got a lot of mileage on you, and that's when the team says goodbye. And there goes your chance of getting money. And that's the unfortunate part for the running back position. You play well, and Josh Jacobs said it well. I think it was Josh Jacobs. If you give him Nick Chubb, I think it was it Nick Chubb? Who was it again? I think it was the Browns. I think it was Chubb, the Browns running back. Says you give him 2,000 yards rushing, amazing. But then they say you got too much mileage on you. You give him 400 yards, you're not productive. You get hurt too much. There's no win for the running back position, man. It's just what it is, man. Now, speaking of the running back position, James Cook has been sensational in camp. He's been running down the field, catching field, looking mighty explosive. And I love hearing it, because I'm skeptic. I'm a skeptic when it comes to James Cook and what he's going to be able to provide us as RB1. But apparently he's been looking good. But I bring Cook up because there's another Cook that's been parading around the AFC East and potentially might be going to the freaking Jets. The Jets just keep trying to add and add and add and add. And apparently the rumor is the reason that our guy Aaron Rodgers took that $35 million pay cut was to potentially, in the back of his mind, think that if the Raiders are like, so Devontae Adams is done with the Raiders, I got enough money to bring you guys over here. Rumor has it. So Dalvin Cook potentially headed to the Jets. Are you shook? Does that make you feel some type of way?
No, not at all. I hate these Jets so much. I can't even put into words. I cannot formulate the hatred. It is bubbling over at this point. If the pot last year with Zach Wilson had like an inch of water, from then until now, it's incredible how that pot has gone to the point where my kitchen's flooded. It is just flooded. The downfall. I have never been rooting for something more than the downfall of these Jets. And I don't even think it's necessarily their fault. So to the Jets fans and to whoever else, don't take it personal. It really isn't your guys' fault at all. It's the way that they're being mapped out. And we talked about it a bit at the beginning of the show. I can't take it. And Aaron Rodgers is the most insufferable athlete in all of sports the last couple of years. I cannot stand it. And just one last big old one of these to the Green Bay Packers organization, fighting tooth and nail to get out of that organization, and doing all the things he did on the way out the door, just to go and chop his salary down to $1 million this season so that the Jets could go out and do whatever. I just thought that was the one last big double bird to the Green Bay Packers, and I just can't believe it. I can't believe it.
And you know what? Listen, he's been jaded ever since they brought in. I mean, he can't feel that way, because when Brett Favre was there, they brought in Aaron Rodgers. And Brett Favre did the exact same thing, exact same message. Went to the Jets, then the freaking went to the Vikings. Like, it's just a mess. So, and this was his way of really sticking it to them, right? Listen, we brought in Love because
course.
we don't know what's going to happen. This is formality. This is what we do. And he's like, you should never brought him in. And because of that, I'm going to show y'all that you never showed him. And I'm going to make this team talented as ever. And you're going to see what you guys have missed out on. And that's pretty much Gutenberg was like, we don't care. We got Love, and Love is going to do his thing, but Love ain't Rodgers.
I mean, listen, Breece Hall is coming back. Your guy. You want to talk about boy? I mean, that's your boy right there, Breece Hall.
Love him.
He's coming back, right? And do we forget that when Breece Hall got hurt last year, Michael Carter stepped up and looked pretty damn good. And you're saying to yourself, wow, these Jets have two damn good young running backs. So I'll tell you this, Rico, if they want to go and give Dalvin Cook money that 31 other teams weren't willing to give him over these last several months, by all means, go jet it up and give him a bag just like they did with Le'Veon Bell, and let's see how it works out. Go right ahead. I would love to see it. It does nothing to me. I won't lose an hour of sleep over it, Rico, if they go and do it. Not one.
And this is why I brought it up, because I love Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook's a great back.
Same.
I'm to the point where I'm like, yo, bring whoever you guys want on. Super teams, they don't always work out. They don't always work out. I'm telling you. So you're trying to build a super team, and sometimes these super teams that try to get created, sometimes the universe says, nah, you're not about to do that. They're about to create a super team with the Lakers they were going to bring Chris Paul, and then they said, nah, not going to happen. The Lakers put Gary Payton. I mean, they're all old. And
didn't the NBA step in and they didn't allow it to happen?
No, they said X day. We're not letting that shit happen. No way. So they could these Jets can do all they want, and they're going to be a competitive team. But there's only one football, man. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm just curious to see what James Cook is going to do.
Where are you at though right now? I mean, where are you at right now? Because the fact that this game is week one, I'm so like this.
I still feel the same way.
The best thing that's ever happened, ever. This game being week one, because these narratives are going to get shaken up one way or the other that week one. But where are you at right now, just on the Jets? Because I am at my boiling point, and the fact that we don't have to wait 4 weeks into the season to get them is extraordinary to me. The fact that this is going to be served up on a platter on Monday Night Football in New York. I have never been more excited for anything in my entire life. Where are you at? Because this could not be better. The fact that this is week one for us, Rico, it couldn't be better.
Here's where I'm at. I'm still in the same boat. I think we lose week one.
Okay.
I think we lose week one, not because they're that much better than we are. I think it's just the circumstances. The hype is there. There's a lot of things going on.
How do they lose? In what kind of way? What does this game look like in your mind?
It ain't gonna be a blowout. It's not gonna be a blowout. I think it's just gonna be a significant. We lose this game, and it's just gonna be like, okay, we weren't ready for this matchup, but we will get them the next time. And it's not the addition of Aaron Rodgers. It's what defensively they did to us last year, and I'm thinking they might give us fits. They just gave us fits. It's the matchup. The matchup I do not like, but we've added some pieces that can kind of mess around with that matchup. But I still think we lose it. I think everybody hates that I say it. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep it a buck. I've said it from the start. I say it. But here's what I like about this. We lose to them week one. That just stirs up more in the Bills, and we go on a run after that. And when we play the Jets again, we dominate them, and then we go from there. But week one, I think that them being on the road and all that, the hype is going to be there. I think they take this. It's going to be close, but I'm still there. But we're going to see some good things from the Bills. We're going to see some good things where it's not going to allow us to worry. And I look at your face, and your face is like, I can't believe this.
No, I can believe it. And I think this is what I was saying earlier. I think anybody who predicts the Jets to win the division this year, I think it's a fair thing to do. But
it is fair.
Yeah, the problem I have with it is you're just going to have them 13-4 and the Bills. I mean, I think anybody who has the Bills in third place, I just would love to hear why. That's the thing. I understand predicting the Dolphins or the Jets or whatever. But Rico, you can tell me if I'm overblowing this or not. But okay, so what's Y-Town saying? The question is, can we score more than 20 against their defense or whatever? I think we can. I certainly think we can. I think if we can't, that's a sign for concern, especially depending on how their offense goes up against our defense. That to me is, if it's a defensive battle, I could see that for sure. But I could be overblowing this, and you could tell me I am. I don't think I've ever been this early on a must-win game before. This is must-win to me, in my opinion.
Well,
there are so many reasons for me to think this way. And I think that I'm at that point where I look at this game as a tone setter for the season, and must-win just feels that way to me. I don't know why.
You're not wrong, because the way, like to give us the Jets to begin with. They didn't give us like a cakewalk team to give us the Jets week 1. And I for one, I just don't know why it does it for me. It's just one game, but starting a season 0-1, I absolutely despise 0-1. 0-1 is one of the worst things for me because now you gotta put games together. 0-1 turns into 0-2 if a fluke thing happens, and now you're like, oh shit. And
they go 0-2, pack it in, Rico. They lose to the Raiders, you pack it in.
And the AFC and the way our schedule is, you can't afford to put loose strings of games together. But unfortunately, we're gonna lose that first game, in my opinion, and then we'll go on a run. But I hate the fact that we might go. It's possible that we go 0-1. I just hate it. Now, I do have to say this though. Can we score more than 20 points against our defense? It's a valid question because that Jets defense got better. That Jets defense has now rookies that are going into their second year and have got a better grip of Robert Saleh's defense. This matchup is like you said, but this matchup is huge, man. Week 1,
big, man.
It's not like, oh, it's just for show. It's just nice. Like us going against the Rams last year, I knew we were gonna beat the brakes off the Rams. I just knew that we were much better than the Rams. This one is a tough one. Golly, this one's a tough one. But hey, this is why they made the schedule the way it is. It's must see TV. It's gonna be must see TV on Monday night, week 1. That would be a game to go to. That's a game.
That's
to
the
go
thing.
To.
I was just gonna say, so I'm gonna be there, and the thing.
You son of a gun!
The problem I have. Oh yeah. Oh my God, I wouldn't miss this. I wouldn't miss this for a gazillion. Are you kidding me? Me and the thigh dog. Me and the thigh dog. Listen, another reason why I'm also must win on this. I can't walk out of there. I can't walk out of there with a loss. I can't. I'm never going to feel worse about anything in my life. I have to walk out of there with my Bills gear here and those absolute arrogant, loud jerseys.
Jets
I can't do it.
Are the absolute worst, and they're going to get on your ass. That's why we need that win. Don't get me wrong. I want us to beat them badly. I just don't think it's going to happen. But man, if we get that win on the road, week 1, you better talk your shit when you're over there, Z-Ball. You better talk your shit. I'm telling you.
No, there's no point in even talking because that most of them they'll just go back into hibernation. They won't watch the rest of the year. There's no point of even saying it.
Now before we get out of here, because I gotta wrap this up because I gotta go to work, and it sucks because we had I had my audio issues earlier.
I know it.
We'll have to do this again. But anyway, you were mentioning Dave Matthews Band. You're a big the DMB?
DMB. Oh yeah,
DMB. So lately, when these concerts have been happening, fans are getting a lot more bold. I don't understand.
I know.
Right, you're paying to go see a concert, but yet you're ruining it for other people by throwing stuff on stage. And the latest was Cardi B got water thrown on her on stage, and she
handled it well.
She threw a microphone at her concert goer. My question to you: you're at the DMB, having a great time because that's the band, that's who you love, and somebody decides to throw water on stage. As a concert goer, are you like, don't ruin it for the rest of us? Like, what do you like when you see stuff like this? How do you react to these clowns that do this?
You're just an absolute moron if you do that. I've never understood that. I never understood doing that. Now, Cardi B, that she went ahead and Randy Johnson that microphone. I don't know what that was terrifying. But I will say that it's funny you bring this up. This happened, and it doesn't happen like ever. It doesn't happen at the Dave Matthews concerts ever. But the other night, I wasn't there, but I saw the video. So up in the pit area out in New Jersey, there was a couple dudes who got into a fight. And mid-show, Dave walked over and freaked out on him, kicked him out.
Everyone.
He was mad. You could tell, angry. Get the fuck out. Screaming at him. I think if you are distracting from the show in any capacity outside of just having a good time, then you're just an asshole. There's no other way to put it. And if you're throwing stuff on the stage, I have no ability to comprehend how that would ever be like. I don't get it. How does that ever cross your mind to do it? And then going through and doing it. Like, I get it. Maybe if you like toss up something to get signed and you like throw it up there gently or whatever. If you're throwing something I just don't get it. It makes no sense to me. I don't understand what goes through people's minds.
I'll never understand either. But have you admitted to people that you're the one that threw that dildo onto the field against the Patriots?
Well, I did. I did. I told everybody about it after I knew that the statute of limitations had passed and I wouldn't have to face charges for it.
Here's my question: how'd you sneak that thing in?
Well, the problem with that is if I told you, I'd have to kill you. But fortunately for me, it was hidden. It was definitely hidden. But I had experience sneaking stuff like that into places in the past, and I was glad.
I like that. If I tell you I have to kill you, because you got to take that to the grave, brother. Anyway, folks, I'd love to continue this show. Obviously, technical difficulties happened, and I apologize with this much. This would have been a much better show because I had so much energy to freaking bring it to you guys. But we will do this again, and we're gonna have a lot more me and Z-Bot, and hopefully we're gonna get my man Rev back on and get going. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Obviously, this is training camp time. There's gonna be the guys are in pads now. You're seeing a lot of action happening. DeMar Hamlin got himself an interception. You know what I'm saying? So the love for DeMar Hamlin is happening right now. And there's going to be a lot of love for DeMar Hamlin, and it's not going to stop. It's going to keep going. I, for one, I mean, I'll share my opinions next show because I got some things to say about that. But for the most part, team is looking good. Offense has their moments. Defense has their moments, and that's how we want it. We don't want it to be lopsided. And we want everybody. Even Poodle Ford is getting in action, getting pick sixes off of Matt Barkley and getting down there. So, folks, we have ourselves a good squad, baby. We got ourselves a good squad, defensively led by a strong-minded head coach, and we've got some great pieces around this team. And the fact that we got Jordan Poyer, Mike Hyde back together, shaking off the rust, getting back at it, and we've got Dalton Kincaid doing what he does, and we've got obviously the best duo in the game in Stefon Diggs. And this is the last point I'm going to make before I get out of here. Stefon Diggs, my goodness, has he ever put things to rest? Has he ever put things to rest with all the chatter? Now that it's behind him and he's business and he's cooking absolutely everyone. No one can cover Stefon Diggs. And this gives me all the confidence that when we go and face Sauce Gardner, he is ready to get after Sauce Gardner. All that grabby and pulling and all that crap. No. We're going to call you out because when you have an elite route runner like Stefon Diggs and you're not double teaming him, man up and go one-on-one with Stefon Diggs. Don't have the safety over top to help your ass out. No. Bring Sauce Gardner's ass to freaking Stefon Diggs and let's see what we got, right? Don't roll the safety over and try to go. No. If you're that dude, cover me one-on-one. Let me see what's happening because I feel that we got the freaking best receiver in the game and his route running is elite. So I'm looking forward to that. And I feel that right now he's unguardable. If you look at camp and you look at the practice, you look at all the things that are being said, nobody's touching Stefon Diggs. He's on another level. And he's in year 9 and he's still doing like that. And Josh Allen has picked up
he's got to be, man. He's got to be.
Right where he left off, and I'm loving it. So, Sauce Gardner, get your ass to the line. Like Ocho Cinco would do. Put your ass right here. Get right here. And let's make this thing go, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to more camp, and we'll be giving you guys the breakdown as camp goes along. So, today, we had a good day, man. We had a good day in camp. Think guys are showing up, guys are getting out there. Ed Oliver's looking fantastic, and the defense is looking strong. So before we get out of here, smash that like for my man Z-Bot showing up. Congratulations once again, Mr. Fiance.
Thank you, brother. Fiance.
Mr. Fiance. And you got to say it like that. You got to say a fancy fiance.
Yeah, we've been trying to have fun with it because I hate it. The
Don't
word
pronounce the end, just say fiance.
We've been trying to think of another word. I'm going to steal the lady from me. I like that. My lady.
Yeah, that's my lady, man. Listen, you can't never go wrong with that because it's still classy. That's my lady. And you're not doing that as my girlfriend. Oh, we're not girlfriend anymore. We're fiance. But your girl ain't gonna let you. She's not gonna let you slide, man.
No, she hates it too. Thank God. That's the thing. That she hates it.
It's my. Oh, she hates it too.
Oh, that's the thing. We both were like, man, this is just. I hate this. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to come up with something. We're gonna have to make up a fake word or something. Who knows?
Yeah. But just if you are gonna say it, don't say fiance. Say fiance.
Yeah, you have to say
fiance. You got to say fancy. If you're gonna say it, say fancy.
Episode where they.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our time. We appreciate you, man, and we're gonna try to bring it to you guys again. Once again, apologies for the tech difficulties. We'll get that sorted out, and we'll bring you guys, and we will make it up for you. We're gonna make it up for you another time. So, Z-Bot, maybe we'll try to get back together again. And now that you're back in town and you're doing your thing, but ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us, man. So until next time, it's your boy Rico. It's your boy Bot.
Peace.
It's the Rico Report. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. You guys have yourself a great night. Peace.